Welcome to How to Manage Your Sales and Marketing Funnel, hosted by Unstack and AirborneApp. I'm Zach Rego, VP of Sales and Marketing for Unstack. We are a no-code marketing platform built for founders and marketers to help them build incredible digital businesses. My co-host is Lee Gladish. Lee, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Lee Gladish, co-founder and CEO of AirborneApp. We're a sales engagement platform purpose-built for B2B lead gen agencies.
So Lee and I have some very strong opinions about sales and marketing. So we thought we'd get together, record, and write down some of those opinions and really talk a lot about strategies you can implement, not only in your outreach, but really personalization throughout the entire experience, engaging with a contact that maybe doesn't know your company from the jump. So the first thing we want to talk about is being different with your outbound. And Lee, I know you've got a ton of experience in starting from the ground up, especially with Airborne and your previous companies. Let's talk a little bit about your strategy for building an outbound cadence, but really more importantly, the work that goes into creating really powerful content that is engaging for your prospects.
Yeah, I thanks, Zach. I think that, most people when they start doing outbound, it's always, I'm going to, grab a list. I'm going to target a few people who I think I'm going to target or who I think my ICP is. And I'm going to, create 4 or 5 email steps over a period of a couple of days. And I'll think maybe 2 days or 3 days is better than the other. And it's all guessing. And then I'm going to hit send and that's it. You wait. And then you're like, I only got 1 reply, or I got a couple of not so good replies from people, and you quit and you stop. So, before we get into what I feel is a great strategy to book a lot of meetings, and I've booked a lot of meetings doing this strategy, and I've learned maybe the first few years of not booking so many meetings. And what I learned was, there's a little bit of an overview we want to do with outbound. First, anyone can do it, right? We all know anyone can do outbound. If it's done right, we know it's repeatable. There's huge ROI in doing outbound. It's easy to get started, but again, it takes time and focus to get really good at it. So some of the basics we want to watch out for. We want to make sure we have product market fit, or at least know who we want to target, who your audience is, who are you selling to. The dollar amount of your offering makes a big difference when you're doing outbound. This is mostly overlooked, okay? If you're selling $100,000 a year offer compared to a $29 a month offer, outbound looks very, very different. And where you want them to land, where does that lead go if you are doing outbound? How do you engage with them once they hit your site? Is it a sales team? What's the workflow? A lot of different workflows for a smaller and higher price package. So for everyone, joining the call, today we're going to talk about, tactics and strategy. And the first one is right around educational content, building high quality content. So we want to be an authority within your market. You want to teach and educate, build a playbook for your prospects around best practices, build a blueprint for your prospects. So why people find outbounds hard? Because there's nothing behind the email. Your prospects are not aware of your company. They're not maybe aware of the work that you're doing, or if you're an authority. Prospects buy on social proof, they buy on value, but more importantly, they really buy on the knowledge you can share with them. So we need to go beyond the open rates and the connect rates, like what's been delivered and what are the email stats. We really want to look at we need to measure the revenue, right? Marketing, again, it's always about measuring revenue. Sales, we think it's always about booking meetings, but at the end of the day, really want to build authority when we're doing our outbound. Easier said than done, but it's not hard at all. It just takes a little bit of time, but we want to be educational with that content.
And something you wrote in here that I think is a strategy we've leveraged. Actually, it's interestingly enough, and we haven't talked about this, it's how you became a customer of Unstack. I reached out to you to get you on our podcast, right? Yes. So you put a note in here that's like, hey, get blog content, get content from your target customers and provide them value in that way. And that's an interesting outreach strategy. Listen, I wasn't trying to sell you when I asked you to be on the podcast. I legitimately wanted you to be on the podcast. But after a few conversations, right, we built a lot of rapport with each other. We got to know each other. And I think it's really interesting strategy that you've used at Airborne is your content's written by your prospects. Like you're thinking about prospecting of how can I create for an audience by reaching out to them and asking them to create for themselves. And I think that's like really incredibly powerful.
Well, the podcast is a great one. And when we connected, I was on another podcast, which is great because it's great lead gen. It's great lead gen for the host and it's great lead gen for the participant. But when you reached out to me, I had no idea what Unstack was. And it was the timing was right because I was pulling my hair out with WordPress. We actually got rid of who we were working with on WordPress. And then I was like, I went to my marketer and I was like, look at this. It's like no code. And we honestly had it up in a few days. Like it was up and running in a few days, which took us months. So that's why we're like, we become, good friends. Good friends. So our content, so how do we do this? And where do you take it from here, right? The content that we have, the blog content is written by our customers. So very much looking to build lookalike audience. It adds authority. You're speaking the same language as your prospects. We're reaching out to prospects that are in the same playground where all our other prospects are playing. They know each other. They look to each other for knowledge and experience. So we go to our prospects and we're like, we want you to write for us. We want you to be part of our blueprint. And we'll get to the blueprint later. And it builds connection. They see what we're doing. They see us as an authority. We have this amazing 50-page blueprint that we're releasing soon. And they're like, you guys know what you're talking about. By the way, what do you do? Maybe we should start talking a little more. So this content shared with their network. It's something you're known for. Again, maybe it's a podcast. It's about the interaction though with your audience. So you build the content with the right stakeholders. It improves brand reputation. This goes for sales as well. You see a lot of salespeople now posting on LinkedIn. They're building their own brand.
Yep.
They, especially if they're a VP, how to manage a sales team, how to manage budget, forecast, how to hire, how to fire. And guess what? People look at that and they're like, I'm learning from you. Oh, by the way, you sell this product. I'm actually going to take a look at your product. So it doesn't always have to be your brand. And again, it doesn't always have to be the marketing team. You don't have to rely on marketing. We have a fractional marketer. We don't have a full-time team. We can put this all together. We did it. You can do it too.
Yeah. One thing you mentioned about personal brand, a lot of outbound companies, and I have a lot of former colleagues that are now working for clients doing outbound or companies who are doing outbound. Their marketing team is sending them a generic post with a generic landing page with a guide and saying, hey, post this post on your LinkedIn. And I'll scroll and I've got, 4 former colleagues that all work for the same company now. And I scroll and I see all 4 of their posts are exactly the same. So a lot of what we're talking about here is personalization. 1,
yes,
creating your own personal brand. 2, personalizing to who you're targeting. So most outbound reps are either targeting a vertical, targeting a geography, a territory. Like there are things that you can do that are small and nuanced, but mean a lot to the persona you're going after. So be thoughtful when you're thinking about your outbound strategy. We're going to talk a lot about that here.
And personalization isn't just, you made a great point. You see the same 4 reps posting it. What's funny is you'll see other people copy and pasting their same post, and it's a completely different company. And you see a lot of that. And that's not really, that's not personalization, right? Like that's not good for you. Be at least authentic. Yeah. So we're building this ebook. And the reason why we want to build this ebook was because we're in a space where there's a lot of competitors in sales engagement, but none of them are focused on the agency market or vertical. So what we decided to do was we're not trying to create a category. The category is already there. What we really want to do is stand out as an authority now. So how do we do that? We go to our potential prospects. We see leaders in that space and we're like, we're creating this ebook for agencies that's going to help them build, start, scale, grow their business. There's frameworks, there's blueprints in there. We want you to contribute. So we got 20 plus 30s, 40 people contributing to this ebook. And again, they're like potential customers. It drives great traffic. We're sharing it with other prospects. There's a ton of knowledge. We get introduced to other potential customers the same way. But more than anything, we're really educating that market, because now nobody has this blueprint. It's amazing. It's share with, there's a lot of knowledge in there from a lot of other great agencies. And again, it's about authority.
Yeah.
So another thing is, like, when we email a prospect, again, it's not just about like, hey, I have a great product. It's, here's the work that we're doing. Here's the roster of customers we're working with. Here's an ebook that we can give them. It's a piece of content that, we worked on together. It's a blueprint, it's a framework, and we can share it with so many new prospects every time we introduce them. Instead of saying, hey, here's who we are, we're like, here's what we've built.
Right.
Here's what we know. Maybe you're probably interested in this as well. So,
and the social scale that happens here. So we've talked a lot about, and we do a lot of content creation that is almost crowdsourced. DataBox is another company you can look to that's got a solid outbound engine. They've got a really good inbound engine also, but they source all of their content by doing like crowdsource. They basically send out to an email list a bunch of questions, and they constantly get new people added to it. And those new people become new prospects for them. But they also get all of those people to share. So I get quoted in one of their blogs. I then share their blog. Then my entire audience, which is filled with marketers as well, sees their blog. So there's this social scale to doing a strategy like this, where you not only get a new lead list because you're getting the contribution, but you're also getting those contributors to share. And more than likely, their audience looks eerily similar to the one you're going after, or to themselves, which is always a really valuable strategy.
Here's one of the easiest pieces of content that you can get that's going to get distributed tens of thousands of times. If you reach out to 10, 20 influencers in your space, or just anyone in your market, and you ask them 3 questions and say, please answer one of the 3 questions, we're going to write an interview series and we're going to quote you. And that's it. It's the simplest one-liner you can do. Send out that email. I guarantee if you email 100 people, you're going to get 20, 30 people are going to definitely respond. They share it, just like you said with DataBox.
Yeah.
So it's the easiest thing you can ever do, but not a lot of people do it.
And the other thing is, I forget who said this, but you're putting deposits in the bank account, right? Yeah. You're giving them an opportunity. Those are deposits in the bank account. One day you're going to ask to withdraw in the form of, a demo or a sale or time on the calendar to talk about your product. But deposits in the bank account is what we're starting with here, which is really important. And, part of creating the content, and Lee talked about creating the content first, which I think is important because it is part of your outbound outreach. And what I see a ton, and this is something that was, is an unintended consequence of getting like into a leadership role, is you get a ton of outbound LinkedIn messages. It is amazing. Like, my old title was like general manager. No one's prospecting for general managers, even though they kind of should be, because I had just as much sway, if not more than I did now, and way more budget. But you get a ton of outbound messages when you are a CEO, right? And most of them, I've noticed, are sending people to the homepage. And it's like, whoa, like, that's not who I am. It's not targeted for me. It's not anything, about me. The homepage was built for everybody, right? It's the billboard for your brand. There are landing pages, which are incredibly important. That's a lot of the content we're talking about creating should be stored or gated with behind a landing page. There are product pages, which are much more feature rich or service offering rich. So, I use an example here of A/B testing. I've kind of created a funnel in the scenario we're going to talk about. And then there's the calendar, right? And the calendar is, to me, an incredibly high bar. Like, you should not be asking people for 30 minutes of their time without making a bunch of deposits right into the bank account with them, either by providing them a ton of value with an amazing ebook that they engaged with, or doing a bunch of steps along the way. But calendar is a really high bar to go after. And it's really important to use those throughout different pieces of the funnel. And Lee, I guess we want to talk a little bit about how you go about distributing it. We talked a lot about building the content now.
So I can tell you with like 100% accuracy that the last 100 emails that I've received from anyone in sales, they never drove me to a landing page, ever. And some of the most successful campaigns we run and our customers run is, I target, let's say, VP of sales, build a landing page for VP of sales, and I only drive that VP of sales to that landing page. People are like, a lot of people are scared, like, I don't want to have a link in my email. Well, if your deliverability is good, you don't have to worry about the link. And they drive the VP of sales to the landing page. That landing page only speaks to the VP of sales. And it's so important to have the landing pages. And I don't know why not enough people do it. So this is a difference of when you create outbound, when you do outbound, it's not about just sending the email or phone call or LinkedIn connection. Again, you have to have authority pieces. We talked about that already, but it's time to distribute that content. So you want to distribute that on your blog, growthhackers.com, Facebook groups, there's Quora, there's Slack communities. Like, you can even spend a little bit of money on like Outbrain or TechTarget if you want, but you have that content, start distributing it, because you don't need to sit on that content and wait for Google to start driving traffic to your site. It's going to be a while. So start distributing it really, really early. And most of these things I just talked about, growth hackers, there's no cost. Facebook groups, no cost. Quora, no cost, right? So what happens when you start distributing that content and you start driving them to your site page, right? So here's our site page. We've been running our site for, a few months. We don't get a ton of traffic, but at least I know that when I do outbound, I see the peaks. There's always the peaks, 20, 30, 40 extra. And then from there, I see the peaks months later or weeks later, the same person coming back over and over. They may have not filled out something. So then now what I do is I'll reach back out with content, because I know that there's at least something there. So you need to be aware of your efforts. Outbound, what are you doing? You need to be aware of the efforts. You need to know, like, are they hitting your site? How are you nurturing them? You don't need a full-time marketing team to cycle these leads to you. You can run this all on your own. Everything we talked about today, Unstack, Airborne, whatever you buy for your stack, even data, these like total, this is under $200 a month in product. Like, it is not a huge budget and it's easy to get implemented. So you need to be aware of like how you're nurturing, these prospects.
Yeah, and I think that we talked about personal brand as an outbound rep. I think personal communities. So
Yes.
being proactive as a salesperson to promote the content in a way that is active, like proactive, not reactive, like taking it and going and posting it on Quora, answering questions on Quora, or Reddit, another great place to answer questions that a lot of sales reps are screwing around on Wall Street bets and whatever else, trying to get rich. Like, they should be answering legitimate questions and threads that are happening in there with content that marketing's asking them to distribute. Again, the default is marketing says post this on LinkedIn, you post it on LinkedIn. You should say post this on LinkedIn, they go and post it on Quora and answer 5 questions with it, go and post it on Reddit and answer 5 questions. And you'll start to see this compounding effect.
Quora is one of the most heavily trafficked sites in the world. And we have let's say a brand ambassador for our company that posts content on Quora, and only in like a month and a half, 2 months of doing that, there's already like hundreds and hundreds of views on that. And at least I can attribute some leads to that Quora content. Never mind 3-4 years from now, what that content's going to drive.
Yeah. So, these content campaigns are really, important. If your marketing team is sending you either a blog post or the content as a PDF, ask them to create a landing page. I think Lee's point is really valid, because what's going to end up happening is your sales team, you're just going to send people to the homepage. And the homepage is great, again, as an introduction to the company. But if you're going to do these campaigns, you want to be driving a very specific action. So Lee's point of title, also source is really important. Also thinking about the content and teeing it up appropriately. A homepage is meant to be an introduction to your company. No marketing or sales campaign should really be driving traffic there. This is just total brand awareness. It is a piece of real estate on the internet. And the reason is there's a huge amount of distractions on the homepage. So there's a header and a footer with, we literally have, I think, 50 navigation links between the header and footer. There are multiple components with, multiple CTAs going to different places based on what people are engaging with. There's animations, product showcases, persona show. It's just too much. And what tends to happen, again, I get outbound outreach all the time. It's, hey, I'm with unstack.com. And I click on the link and it brings me to the homepage. It's like, damn, like that's not I don't need all of this. I'm way too distracted to take that, split-second decision to engage with your bit of content. So any outbound that you are doing or any promotion that you are doing on LinkedIn or otherwise, be very specific with where you're sending those folks.
So, we talked a little about like you want to promote that content, the light nurturing within, within the the blogs, the whatever, wherever you're deciding to post that content. You want to figure out like where are you going to distribute that content. And I think Zach, the next slide will actually speak to this right here. So we don't want to just sell, book a meeting or, the pushing of the content. Again, you're going to get much higher conversion if you're leading into a cold email with something behind it, as opposed to, we're great, we work with these customers, we're amazing, you should buy from us. As opposed to, if you see the email here, hey, we did a webinar, I think you're going to get value from it. There's some leaders that we talk to. If it's an ebook, if it's a blog post, try sending an email and saying, hey, I think you're going to really find value in this, this content, and email them that content. You're not, again, deposits, right? You're not selling anything. You'll see how it works for you, because again, you're not asking for anything whatsoever. So this makes a huge difference when you're distributing content. And you can this could be like a filler piece within your email. It doesn't have to be like the first or second or third email. You can still try to pitch, but I would definitely lead with something of value right from the beginning.
Yeah, and the call to action there was, you can view it here, right? And here is a landing page in that email, which is super direct. It's got the content. It also has a contact us. So, again, a deposit in a free video, they didn't have to do anything to get it. Just click the link in your email, which is amazing because you can track that engagement. We'll get into tracking and follow-up. But then there's where you send the folks, right? The landing page becomes key because it's dedicated to a specific source. So in this scenario, right, our landing page is totally dedicated to founders and marketers. That's the only person I'm targeting with this call to action. All the features I highlight, super specific to their pain points. Targeting with source and outreach. So I'm not only just targeting with who I am as who I'm targeting as a persona, I'm also targeting the source. So my copy that's in my outreach for this landing page is identical to the landing page. It's the story continues on this page. The other thing a landing page does is it eliminates CTA or limits CTA. So the one call to action you can see here is, let me try. The one call to action on the webinar landing page from the example you had before was contact us. They had a video that was free, but you're driving all activity to one CTA. And when you limit those, you increase your conversion rate 50%. Now, if you layer A/B testing on top of that, you increase your conversion rate another 50%. That's really meaningful. So if you get 10 people there, now you're getting 15% or 15 conversions instead of 10 if you're getting that 50% bump. So you start to snowball really fast if you're driving traffic to a place that's got a single source of conversion. And that's really, really powerful.
So when we talk about, you're doing outbound, you're running campaigns, you want to figure out how you're going to engage with these prospects. So you don't want to just sit and wait, right? You don't want to sit and wait. You have to figure out like what the action and activity is after this. So I believe if we move a little further here, Zach, here you can actually see, here's campaigns. You want to look at maybe the clicked. The next page here is like, you want to look at the views. But here's the important part. When campaigns are automated, there has to be intent behind it. Very important. Automation has to benefit both sides of you and your prospect. There's no doubt about that. So you run your campaign, you can see who's clicked, you can see who's viewed. That doesn't make it easier for you to say, I'm going to give them a phone call. Okay, they clicked and viewed your emails a few times. But if you don't benefit both sides, you and your prospect, you as a sales rep, you're going to lose leads, processes break, and then content's not personalized. So what I'm trying to say here is you run your campaign, you get clicks, views, you get site traffic. Now, if we can, I believe, Zach, the next slide here, I don't know if it's our slide traffic. We're going to get to that in a second, but you want to make sure that you're taking action on your campaigns. The biggest mistake I see, this is the number one mistake. I ran a campaign, it wasn't successful. I'm going to try again with a new batch. Start segmenting those campaigns. Find out, take the list of who haven't opened at all, find out who's opened the most, who's clicked, and break and segment them down, and then put them into a new campaign, directing them to a new site, a new page.
And
because
that's
again,
why,
you already know they're engaged some way or another.
yeah, so tracking is key. So tracking not only your email engagement, but on-site engagement. So, most landing page tools, Unstack does this, a bunch of other landing page tools does this. Who's visiting, where are they converting, what are they clicking on the site? Same with an email. What are they clicking on in the email? Where are they going? And those again are, start to snowball into different segmentations in the email. And when you build those campaigns, you should be building a funnel into them, which is why we talk about the product page next, right? Which is kind of the next layer deeper. You've made a deposit into the bank account with a piece of content that's high value. Now you want to make a deposit by solving a problem. So the number one thing I think salespeople miss in their outbound outreach and marketing teams in alignment with sales is we need to educate the audience on a pain point they might not know they have. We're assuming they know they have it sometimes in our outbound outreach, but we need to educate them on it. And that's what these great guides and blogs and podcast episodes and webinars do. And then we need to solve it. And you should be solving it with a product page that's super specific to a pain point you outlined above. So spend some time on that persona development, right? Who are we targeting on the front end? What are they doing? And what happens when they click or open or register? And then create specific product pages dedicated to those personas. They should provide feature-rich overviews, really detailed on what you're going to be offering to solve the pain point that they already clicked on. So if they clicked an email on why my conversion rate's down, okay, the next thing we should be talking about is A/B testing, and I'm going to solve it with a feature right here. Social proof is also key. So Lee talked a lot about social proof on the front end. This can happen all throughout your site, but you should really start to personalize it, not only in your email, but also on your landing pages. So your testimonials, your logos, the quotes you might put or customers you might reference in your email should all be tied together based on either the user that you're reaching out to's job title, vertical, pain point they might have and how you might solve it. We spend a lot of time thinking about this. Every page we build has a very specific person or persona listed as a testimonial based on who we believe we're targeting with that. The next piece in that funnel, if they engage with the product page, they engaged with the content you sent, right? Now we've made some deposits. We know that they're engaged with the product. Now it's time to start asking for calendar engagement. Again, I see all too often the first outreach or second outreach is check out our website, check out our company, or check out my calendar. You haven't solved it. You haven't either positioned a problem to me that I need to solve, and you haven't showed me that you can solve it. And until you do those two things, you shouldn't present anybody with a calendar. But how should you present them with the calendar is also really important. So one, don't ask for too much time. Be kind to folks. 15 minutes is plenty to at least get an introduction. My first outreach to Lee, even though we were doing a webinar, was 15 minutes to see if we could come up with a topic that made sense. We spent 5 minutes picking a topic. We spent 10 minutes talking about what each other does now today. And we booked a podcast and then we closed a deal. So interesting engagement point. Make sure they've engaged with the other pages. So don't present a calendar until you've started to see if they've worked through some of your progressions in your cadence and sequence. To Lee's point earlier, if they haven't opened any of your emails, presenting them with a calendar is just another unopened email or at least an unsubscribed email.
And what you're doing is you're building the at-bats, right? Like
Yeah.
if you know that they've clicked or viewed or been to your page, or more importantly, I think coming up next is like, have they been to your site? So it's all about these at-bats, right? You're building up these points, just like deposits. You're building up all of this data to figure out, is this prospect, a good prospect for me? Because what happens too often is that we're just going blind. We're looking at the clicks and views and only the clicks and views. And salespeople are sitting there and be like, well, they only clicked and viewed, they haven't replied, and I tried to get a hold of them a few times, but I keep asking for a calendar invite, but it doesn't work. Let's be a little bit smarter. Let's think, like, be a little strategic and some tactical in there as well.
Yeah.
So here's where we go. I could flip right to the next slide. We want to build this automation. We want to look at my outbound, want to look at the data in the outbound, what's happening with that outbound. And now we want to look at actually who's visiting our site. We see it all the time. The peaks and the spikes within our outbound are always the highest when we're running outbound campaigns. And then we take that look at that prospect, and then a week or two later, we see, and we have triggers and flows. We see when they come in, and we see when they come in again. So we know that, okay, from the outbound, they may have visited the site, fine, maybe not a great way to call them right away. Maybe it's just too early. Don't ask for anything. But again, you can see that and track it over time. Over the next 2 weeks, they've been by another 2-3 times, and it's, it's been 2-3 hours now. So now you have a plan, you have your flow that you can kind of see how things are working. And this is, again, this is the best outbound that I've ever had success with, is always about the site visits. Always.
Yeah. And we have, with Unstack, worked really hard on giving some contact engagement insights. So we actually tell you what people are doing on your site, what content they're reading, which is powerful. I use it all the time. My previous job, which I was, boots on the ground selling all day long, the majority of my success was attributed to me becoming an expert on Marketo and Salesforce reporting, and being able to create a joint report that went really deep on who looked at what, and being really fast to respond.
I was just going to say, speed is key, right? So what happens? You do your outbound, it's been a week, they're hitting your site. Again, now what happens? They're coming inbound.
Yep.
Don't be fooled, right? Like, you're going to be outbound people. They're going to visit your site. They're going to see, they're going to do some research, and they're going to probably fill out, not everybody, but they're going to fill out a form now. So those leads are going to come in, how fast you respond. Again, are you customizing those landing pages? More importantly, how are you automating that now? So if you're a sales team and you have 5, 10, 15 reps, you can't wait for that report for marketing. Okay, number one, because it's not going to come right away. Let's face it, right? Like, it's not going to come the minute that person hits that site. You're not going to be aware. Zach, come on, you know.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Not going to come right away, right? It's not going to come in right away.
True story. This morning, I set up an automation in HubSpot to alert me to a specific action. It hasn't been working. So I set up an automation, I screwed it up, and I'm on the marketing team. I'm also the sales guy. So most salespeople, we all have Slack, right? Everyone has Slack in their company. So what we've done is we made it really simple. A lead comes in, they hit the site, they fill out a form. It's gonna see who the rep is in our CRM, and automatically it's gonna Slack that rep. So now the rep's like, I recognize that name. I've seen that name. I probably outbound to that person. They can see it, and now it goes in their Slack, and all that data is in our CRM. And we know that they've now filled out a form, and then the rep can get to it right away. They don't have to wait for the email to even go out to that prospect. They get it in Slack within seconds. They can actually just follow up right away. So like, you're not sitting on leads for a long time. And I think that actually goes to our next slide here, which we talk about, MailChimp, they sign up a lead, it goes out via MailChimp. We're using Copper, really easy to customize, goes in Copper. We see who the rep is. If it's tagged, if there's 3 different reps, it'll go to the exact same rep that originally did the outbound, because that's the lead record. Put it in Slack, and they get the email in Slack from our lead monster, and the rep's aware of it. So reps are not flying blind when they know when leads are coming in. We automate that whole process. And anybody can, if your company has any sort of CRM or sales tools, you can set up automations with Zapier like this. And
this is all Zapier.
This is really powerful. It's so important to have. And I think the other thing is, having that and having the engagement and understanding when people are hitting allows you to do the multi-channel approach. I've got one person that's reached out to me on LinkedIn, I don't know, to his credit, once every other day for probably a month. I'm in some awful campaign. I appreciate the hustle. He won't stop. So thank you. But be multi-channel with your prospects, because it's easy to find out where these folks are. Yeah.
So this is one that, we can debate this forever, and every salesperson every coach and consultant, any LinkedIn influencer will always have an opinion. Okay. Believe and trust what I'm telling you is that all of the channels work. When people are like email doesn't work, it's because they're just taking a list and they're sending 4 emails and they're not getting responses. LinkedIn, okay, maybe LinkedIn seems it's working a little bit better right now. But LinkedIn, again, just like email, is getting a lot of LinkedIn. So now it's like less tone to it. Phone, oh, phone's dead. Phone's not dead. Like, have you tried phone? Have you made 100 phone calls today, this week, last week? I probably guarantee that you haven't. So like, don't be telling me that phone doesn't work either. So the key is, again, depending on your market and your ICP, who you sell to, and the value, the dollar value of your product offering, some of these work better than others, but do all 3. Because if I've emailed you and fine, you haven't responded, and I send you a LinkedIn, but I actually get you on the phone, at least it's a result of a no. At least I move on and I can find out why. And maybe you're going to tell me why. There's that one little thing that you're going to tell me, Zach, hey, Zach, you're a marketer. You should probably use our product. We use this. Okay, great, Zach. Like I can fill in a question or 2 before you say, no, thank you, move on. But at least I probably learned a little bit of something. And you're going to learn a little bit of something in that email. The phone, on that phone, on the LinkedIn and the email, you're probably just not going to get any response whatsoever. You're not going to get any educator or better about how you become better at prospecting. But I know a lot of people booking a lot of meetings on the phone, a lot of them. And think about this. Look at the market for phone dial. And I'm going off a little bit here.
No, I appreciate
like everyone else on LinkedIn, they're all the same. They have their own opinions. But I look at all the phone dialing companies out there on the market. There are so many. Sales engagement, sure, there's a lot. Marketing, 10 times more. Phone dialer companies, 10 times more. Why? Because people use them. Yeah. Because they work. Simple as that. So use all 3. So here's what we're looking at. I like to send a LinkedIn give content. This is an offering. Educate them a little bit. Send an email, a manual email. Tailor manual email. I can do some research. And again, it's not about speed. If you think that you're going to send 1,000 people, I hear this all the time. Number 1 complaint. I need to get this campaign out. I got 1,000 people. You think the 1,000 people are waiting for you? They're not waiting for you. Like, put a little bit of effort into your campaign. Send that personalized LinkedIn, contact them, give them something, educate them somehow. Send the personalized email, automate the email, automate another email, make another phone call at the end. Really, really easy to do. It's not hard. I think everyone wants speed and fast results, like quick now. And the best that I've seen out there, it's like you take your time, focus on the prospects.
Yeah, it's amazing. So 2 bits of recent information on us. We tested taking our phone number out of the form to see if it would increase conversion rate. It didn't. Put it back in because I needed it. It was just the speed to close for us, and we're a high frequency transactional business, but speed to close was way higher. If I could just had a phone, I could pick them up, talk to them, get an understanding, hang up, answer their questions, and go. So key to continue to leverage the phone. The other thing is you're spot on. My first email to everybody that comes through, and we get 400 trials a month, is personalized. My first outreach when I'm going out and doing an outbound campaign to agencies for partnerships, or an outbound campaign to channel partners to do co-marketing, always personalized for the first 2 emails at least. And then I will drop them into a nurture or an onboarding sequence that's a little bit different depending upon their actions. So it's key to be really, really custom in the early outreach.
There's 2 points I want to make here. So when you look at phone, okay, and a lot of, I did this just because I needed to know, and I looked at our competitors, okay, and we're all in the sales space. We all sell sales engagement products, and I called 4 competitors, called their phone number. First of all, some of them were hard to find, but I called their phone number. Do you know that not one of them answered the phone? I got no one answered the phone. So when people talk about like, I don't want to make phone calls, companies' phone lines don't even answer their own phone when people call in. Like, I think people are just scared of the phone. So don't be scared of the phone, first off, right? Do not be scared of the phone. And it's not for everybody. So I get it. You can leverage on LinkedIn. And as your second point, the personalization is really key. Speed to get those phone numbers. If you get that phone number in that form, I know we're talking outbound, but if you get that lead and you get the email, I'm sorry, that phone number, call that phone number. There's a reason why they left it for you. They're still at their desk. Chances are they're still by their phone. Call it right away if you can.
No,
Response rates are like
point.
they're out the roof if you call them within like minutes.
And leave a voicemail on your first call. I used to
Yeah,
drive me
leave a
nuts when
voicemail.
my old reps would call and not leave a voicemail, because a voice and a human on the other end saying, I'm going to email you a follow-up. It's going to be this great piece of content, check it out. Then getting the email, deliver on your promises, by the way, also in every step of the cadence. But it's so important, and your response rate on your email will be higher if you leave a voicemail beforehand.
And the one thing I want to add in here, and I didn't add, I should add the screenshot in here, was in your cold efforts, don't be scared to do video. Video converts so high. Again, about that personalization, they see who you are, you're a face behind the company. Like you're articulating what you're talking, like what the company does, and you can put passion behind it, right? So
it's a good segue though. Like I'm huge on this, and whether it's Unstack or another tool, find a tool that allows you to personalize your landing pages and where you're sending people to the prospect, and gives you the power to quickly personalize. So an example would be if I wanted to reach out to Lee on LinkedIn, I could send him a message, really detailed, send him to a landing page. Now you'll notice there's a lot of continuity on the landing page, right? I can come in and just by having Lee in Unstack as a contact, right, I can insert company name, I can insert name, I can insert my photo, right, and my name. It's the same as my LinkedIn. It builds this continuity and this personalization between what I'm doing and what I'm sending and who I'm sending it to. And it really puts a face behind the company, which I think is really important, both with video, and you can do this with a landing page as well. And all of the video tools now, Vidyard and all the others, have landing page builders where a sales rep can quickly create a landing page that they can send that contact to. Use those features. Like those are key to getting high conversion rates on this stuff. But here's an example of us really, me trying to really target the exact landing page content, copy, photo to my exact outreach.
If you go to our homepage right now, we have the same thing here where you'll see your brand. Works really well.
Awesome. So that is all we had today. Is there any questions that anyone wanted to shoot in? We're happy to answer while we got a couple minutes here to wrap up. Awesome. All right, y'all. Appreciate you guys for joining. Lee, thanks so much for joining me today. This is a lot of fun. We will have it recorded. We will share the recording after the fact. And I got Ahan with a question. Where do you get prospect data?
So few good companies. We're big fans of UpLead. Lead IQ is good as well. There are, if depending on where you are, if you're in Europe, Cognizant, Leadero, good providers as well. There's always the Zoom info, but I find that they are a lot more expensive. So if you can afford them, that's great. But I like UpLead, and UpLead does a great job, and you're going to find like for a fraction of the price, you're going to get a lot of great data there. So that's what we use.
Yeah. And then I think that's kind of lead enrichment on the front end. I think from a lead data or prospect data, as they're engaging with content, if you're not getting on-site interactions and on-site data on a contact level in your CRM today, go talk to your marketing team and tell them they need to figure out what they can use for marketing automation.
We use Clearbit as well. So Clearbit's another one, obviously probably one of the better ones out there.
Awesome. It's a great
question.
Zach.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, Lee.
Talk to you soon.